Welcome to Real People, Real Matters. This is Diana Tulchinsky with my first guest, Mark Palmeri. Mark, can you tell me about your art background in the Art Institute of Chicago?
Let's see, I went to school, the Art Institute, as an undergrad. I transferred in there with everything I'd accumulated outside there at Hartburg and Oakton. And I was directed there by excellent professors who said to me, "You should go to the Art Institute." I didn't know what it was. I think I talked about that before. So then I went there for like 4 years. I loved it. I didn't know there was a such thing as graduate school. And I got excellent professors there too. They told me you should apply for graduate school.
Nice.
And I did.
How were your mentors like your junior and senior year?
At the Art Institute?
Yes.
They pretty much hook you up with a specific professor who meets with you. You know, they ask questions, they look at your work, they give you some suggestions, and they come back to see if you followed through on it or what you did. It's really exciting. Sometimes I had professors who would visit my off-campus studio. They'd come all the way out to the Northwest Side and see my work in studio. So I worked downtown at the school on Wabash and on Columbus Drive, and I also worked at my own studio on the Northwest Side.
How did you start your own studio when you were young,
Well,
in your 20s?
I lived in my parents' house till I was 30.
Interesting.
And I went back and forth to school, and I had a job too besides school. I had a part-time job. And I worked in my parents' garage. That's what I did. You know, I had a garage. But downtown, I worked there too at the school. They had beautiful studios and the camaraderie of these other people. At that time, there were a lot of people from diverse countries. I mean, it wasn't just 1 or 2 or 3 countries. It was like surprise, you know, people that were from like Nicaragua or Scotland or Australia, England, Germany. I think the school made an attempt at that time to kind of balance off this sort of a representation of people from different places. And usually they weren't not out of high school. They already had some established foundation in their art, so I could relate to them.
And what type of mediums were you doing when you were young? Like
I started out with watercolors, and then I went to acrylics and oils, enamels, encaustics, styrene paints, all kinds of things I experimented with. I favor acrylics because of their archival stabilities. And there's a lot of great colors now. They've gotten better and better. I like oils perhaps in some ways better, but oils have the issues with getting all over the place, slow drying time. You know, you can't really. There's rules about oil painting that you should adhere to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
Make
can't.
sure the brushes are clean and
Well,
then
yeah.
you have a format.
Yes, and even the colors, you don't. You could put dark over light, if anyone knows what I'm talking about, and not worry about it too much. But if you put like light yellow over dark color, it's gonna bleed through. You're gonna see it.
And tell me, like, what type of concentration were you thinking about your freshman year, and what type of concentration ended up in senior year?
I'll tell you what. This is like what we were talked about several times, but I was in like advertising and business, psychology, and law enforcement.
Wow.
You know, because I had a sense for community service, and I was always the guy who would like get involved when something was like not right. Like I caught purse snatchers and all that. I don't want to talk about that. Me edit that. I've done things I don't want to get into, and I thought, well, law enforcement, gives a sense of justice and all that. But I was making art, and then some of my instructors said, why don't you take art classes? And I was making art. I just didn't know you could take art at a college level. I don't think enough information is made aware to the general public, because I even get students now. I teach art at Oakton, and I'll tell them, they said, oh, I didn't know they had art. It's weird. A lot of our kids, they get deprived of like serious art in general. Not all schools, but they don't get any art. It's a natural part of growing up and development and expressiveness. But sometimes you get like popsicle sticks and like glue and like wax paper and crayons and leaves, and you're melting it. That's fine. Let kids learn to draw perceptually, Simple things. It's language. Open the door for it. It won't appeal to every kid, but some kids, it's like natural language. It's right there. It just needs to be developed. But we don't do that. And for a lot of the students I get, they get a general ed, so they take that one art course, and they're like, oh, I can't take any more art courses because I got to do this, 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 and this. I didn't know what I was doing when I went to college. I thank God there was a system where I was able to like meander through and experiment and take like, whatever I don't even remember anymore. But
Did you take sculpture also?
yes.
At the Art Institute?
Well, no, yes, I did take sculpture at the Art Institute. I didn't do like foundry or anything. I just did more contemporary sculpture using wood and various materials. I teach sculpture currently at Oakton at the Skokie campus. And to some degree, I go into sort of like semi-traditional and somewhat, we'll call it modern use of materials, using wire, wood, foam core, clay, plaster, foam board, which is a little bit different than foam core. And it's like a stepping stone towards perhaps traditional sculpture. What I wanted to say too is none of the stuff that I teach should be done online, okay? I think that's like a facade, and they feel like it's necessary. And there may be people who actually require online education in different ways because of limitations they may have or time constraints or, what have you. But when I teach advanced level courses that are considered to be independent study, there's this like checking system, where the person tells me they want it. Here's the paperwork. My dean approves it. We sign off on it. We have a contract. But anybody could sign up for online anywhere and take like drawing. And then it should be done live. So you get to see the successes, the trials, the failures of your classmates. And so many times, like when I teach drawing, especially in like materials like ink, it's a one-time deal, you're checking their work as it develops. Okay, stop there. Okay, practice here. Now, once that ink's on the paper, it's a done deal. These things don't translate on a computer, on a screen, and the colors don't either. I mean, there's no way on earth, because I have family that's in like professional musicians at the classical level. They're trying to conduct classes with students during COVID. It's like, you can't be sure what you're hearing, because of various things, the sound quality, the speaker quality, and in the case of art, the screen quality and the ability to translate. We, as artists, we have to be together, and stick together and work together and argue together.
Yes. How do you see like the difference between digital art and like the fine arts? What are we missing out, especially with young adults?
Without me like putting the hammer down on that and saying it's not art, I'm not going to say that. I mean, I had a professor, an outspoken supporter of the Chicago arts. He said photography is not art. He said that's it, and the guy was not. He was not just some goof. I don't agree with him, but he's entitled to have his opinion too. But a lot of these things are just like, we think of painting, there's all kinds of painting. Some of it's illustrative, therapeutic, and fun, might be enjoyable to look at. When you're like a painter and you're doing these things, you're on this like journey of a discovery and invention. And there has to be like a standard of like aesthetics in the work and archival considerations too, unless you like purposely are throwing that to the wind. So you're making a time-related, like Andy Goldsworthy or something, piece. But when we talk about digital, it's like kind of a broad term these days. It like even ventures into artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And it's like it's like a placebo. It's not really, doesn't count. It's a technology. I'd like to cut it off and let it have its own venue.
Yes.
Like traditional photography is at risk of being lost. Like darkroom photography and film development, and what you do in the darkroom as you develop your film, even as you create the images, it's different than just doing something on a computer and having it. It's like a pre-programmed system, all right? And again, I don't want to go like too negative on that. But when you work with your hands, whether it's in a dark room or like in the painting studio or as a sculptor, whatever you do, things progress, develop differently, and it becomes embedded in you. It's not just the buttons that you pushed or the dials and the things you turned. The program that you initiated, it's a unique, one-of-a-kind thing. As you make that, it's like doing something to you too. So the things that happen in the art studio, I've seen like weird things happen where somebody is doing a painting. I think I might have spoke about this at another time, but it was many years ago. This guy was doing this painting, and I was a student at the time. And it was this like maybe a 3 by 4 foot painting, and he had it like leaning on something. And I swear I looked at it, I'm like, how did he do that? It looked like somebody had written or typed or whatever on the whole painting, like all this script. And the closer I got to it, it wasn't that at all. And I said to him, how did you do this? And he says, I don't know. You know, it just sort of like happened on its own. And I was like amazed at this. It's like, you know, I just wanted to look at it and try to figure it out. But it looked like newspaper pages that had been cut out and stuck on, but it wasn't. So then I came back a few days later and I'm like, well, where's your painting? He's like, oh, I cut into it, or he ruined it. I've seen other things happen too, like really amazing paintings occur, and the students like
experimenting.
It's even beyond experimenting. Like they call an artistic muse, like the sense of creativity that is there. It exhibits itself, and we have to be careful not to destroy or eliminate it. And so, anyway, I love to meet the students live and in person. So many times I meet young artists or artists of any age actually and say, oh, this person simply must meet with this person. There's some chemistry there or dynamic that should be developed. And when that's why I do the art club. I mean, the idea of the art club at Oakton was to bring in people from different classes and have them meet. Artists have to like be closer together. I'm not saying we're going to live in a commune or something like that necessarily, but I mean, spending time together, the students learn as much or more than from each other than they do from the instructors.
Interesting. And how do you promote, I guess, like the Fine Art Club now? Like, I know it's changing at Oakton.
I prefer to teach at the Skokie campus because of like this unique blend of amazing people from all over the world that we get there. Des Plaines gets it also, but Skokie seems particularly suitable for like international persons, and they bring in their experiences. I like to teach there. I live in Des Plaines. I live right by the Des Plaines campus. It's absolutely beautiful. Skokie's a little bit smaller, but it's much more charged. It's a real problem. You know, I taught it both at the same time, Des Plaines and Skokie, and I was kind of stretching myself. I had to have 2 budgets. I had to do all these crazy things. Oh, where's my book? Oh, it's in Des Plaines. I swear it was here. Nope. It's important to be locally, like just in one place.
I was wondering, like, how many students have you mentored over the years? Like fine artists, fine teachers, graphic artists?
I don't know. I've been doing this 33 years, so it's hard to lose. It's hard to keep track, but there are some that were noteworthy. They went on to be medical illustrators or art therapists or graphic designing drawing artists back in the day, like drawing for Leo Burnett and Encyclopedia Britannica, et cetera. These people either I had as students or were my like compadres, we'll call them. Several years ago, I called to be honored. I'm honored to be asked to be a mentor for a student. It was at the Art Institute of San Francisco. One of my most amazing students, and I had to get approval from the Oakton College. And this locally, I would review the students' work, and I'd have to write about it. It was part of a new program, and this was before COVID. It was like a remote something program. It was really amazing. And this person has, got their MFA now and is now working on another, like a doctorate or a teaching doctorate. I don't understand. I hear back from them from time to time. And they say, they remember that the time we spent together, and hopefully, the word is exhorting people. And at one level, you're actually teaching people some basic foundational things. And then people come in and they're like going through different things. They've done certain things, and you recognize their talent and their zeal and their enthusiasm. You have to like challenge and exhort them, to go. You simply must go. You can go into the studio, like today, I'll go to my studio probably. Nothing could happen. I mean, maybe it'll be another waste of time. Maybe I'll go backwards, but I have to be there. Perchance something actually does happen, I'm prepared now. Here I am. I'm in the right place at the right time with the right materials. If you're an art student, you have to be in your studio, or the place you call your studio, whether it's at the school, in a lab, etc., or in your own place in your home, and applying yourself to the time. Or you know what? Nothing happens. It's guaranteed. I can't guarantee success, but I can guarantee you failure. And the greatest failure comes when you do nothing. So right now, I'm in the show at Oakton College. It's a beautiful gallery. It's the Ken Line Museum. It's run by Nathan Harpaz, and Oakton has like an excellent collection of artwork. Most of it is put together by Nathan Harpaz. And I'm honored to be in this show with Lou Perosi and Moritz Kellerman. And Moritz is my fellow professor at Oakton. And Lou's a professor, and he's our chair. Lou's a ceramicist. He's showing ceramic work that he's done. And Kellerman is showing his oil paintings. They're like portals to like other worlds. I mean, that's the way I see them. And my paintings are whatever, you got to decide for yourself. But I wanted to call the show The Case for Time Travel. And one of the main things in the show as you come in is a case that I made. It's got collected specimens that I would say are evidences of things that are pertaining to time travel. And it's still art, and not unlike perhaps like a Marcel Duchamp or Joseph Cornell, and perhaps even a Lucas Samaras type look at a collection and assemblage in a collection. But time travel is like always like this big thing, people are make movies and programs about it and write books about it. But we are traveling through time right now. We're traveling around the sun. I think we're going like 65,000 miles an hour as we're going around the sun. Then the Earth's spinning at another, I think it's 1,100 miles an hour. So it's kind of dizzying if you let your mind go there. Like, whoa, I'm spinning out of control even now as I speak. But if that's east, and maybe it is, we're going that way. And then the Earth is spinning around the sun. But our solar system is moving within our own galaxy. And in theory, our galaxy is moving within greater space.
What is your future art? Like, what is futurism?
I did paintings that I said were done in 2044.
Oh, nice.
And you prove they're not. But like time travel, we are traveling through time. Our art is like little artifacts and mementos of time travel, indicative of real time travel. And time travel, I was going to say, is like dangerous. People say you can travel backwards, but you can't travel forward. You can travel forward, but you can't travel backwards. I think it gives you brain. I think like time travel can give you brain damage.
Yes. And how do you like art for people with Alzheimer's or therapy or special ed? Like, have you ever worked with kids from Easter Seals or? I
have not done that specifically, but I have worked with all kinds of people at different times who had all kinds of things going on.
Yeah.
And I would always allow them, of course, and invite them to be part of the class. I've had people that had very severe physical limitations. Yes. I mean, where they could barely, if they can get like something done that day in paper and color, they were happy that day.
Yeah.
And
does it help cognitive ability? Like basically, like when you start young, like kids that have like bipolar or autism?
I'm not an expert enough to talk on that with any kind of authority whatsoever, but I don't see how anything bad could come of it. Having those programs and availabilities for children of all ages, for people of all ages.
Yeah.
I've seen like crazy, wild things that are more infused with life, inspirited with this energy, than I've seen done by people who are supposedly sophisticated and talented. So like the work on painting, the paintings on cave walls, which are thousands of years old, they're more alive than a lot of the contemporary art. It's really quite dry, and if you don't read the like 500-page like explanation of why the artist did what they did, it makes no sense at all. It's lifeless.
And how do you like the arts scene in downtown Chicago, or even in Glenview, or what's going
Glenview
on?
has some good programs. There's a wonderful show at the Busey Bank right now by the Glenview Art League. Glenview has a good, rich culture for the arts. Chicago, like people are, things in the 90s, things were really jumping. There was 100+ galleries. I don't even know how many there was. And you could be in the show here and,
Yeah.
and then you could be in another show and then they'd invite you. It was really exciting. But now things have kind of like dried up. I think Kellerman and I said that. It's hard to get a show at a like real like gallery that's going to present your work unless you have like an established history and everything. And then the older you get, when I got hired to teach, they wanted to know that I was going to teach.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to put my art first. I was going to put teaching first, and I have. I used to stump the galleries. I'm supposed to go to New York, which I've been there, but I don't want to live there.
Do you
But
like
Chi-
the
but Chi-
art, contemporary art, compared to the Midwestern?
I can't narrow it down. Every so often you see something really truly amazing in a place you might not expect to see it. The Art Institute's always fantastic to see, and they bring in great exhibitions from all over the world. You got to be able to immerse yourself in it and really enjoy it, and not just walk past it and look at it for a split second.
And do you have any advice for kids that are thinking about going to digital art or graphic art somewhere else? Like, how good is Oakton with their articulation system?
Oakton is very good in the traditional arts. I mean, from ceramics, drawing, painting, sculpture, 2D design. Those are like more of the core traditional arts. I would include in that traditional photography and to some degree digital photography, when you're actually taking a photograph and you understand you're shooting a shot and you're not subjecting it to programs. But photographs are like memories in advance. You have to think of them that way. Unless you're in advertising, photographers capture the essences of experience that occurred at like a split second. So I think photography is an art form. We still have that at Oakton. And if this, whatever I'm doing now, has any like influence on making it be even more so,
And do you have
I'd like it to be. I'd like to bring back the vibrancy.
Oh, nice. And do you have any advice for parents trying to like figure out like where to place their students? I mean, they're starving artists. That's always like the type of expression. Don't go into art, go into medicine. But what type of advice for like high school students to like make their
No matter what art should be part of your growing up. And sports is important, and all kinds of other things are important. Different things appeal to different people, and different people have different sort of skills and talents. I say that they're in them already, because I get people that can draw beautifully and they never had a lesson. It's already in them. But if you're going for an education, no matter what it is, make art part of it. It makes you like a multifaceted individual and person, and not just one thing, So, I like art, but I don't read a lot about artists and all the things people write about artists. I read a little bit of it. The work has to stand on its own, and speak for itself. And at some point, like we're doing this thing, I'm excited to do an interview. But I hope people will actually go see the show that we have up.
Yes.
If this is up till, I don't know when this is going to be broadcast or put on the air, but till March 22nd. That's the last day.
Great.
And I've got like 59 works in the show. And it's a big deal to me. I mean, it really truly is. This is what we do. This is where we live through our work.
When did you start drawing? I was just wondering.
I was one of these. I always was drawing.
Kids.
Yeah, I was
when you were
always
a
drawing.
kid.
I found some weird drawing I did when I was a kid of a dinosaur. It has a shape of a dinosaur, and I did it when I was like 5 or 6. And I drew all these bones in it, just like floating around. But I had some kind of a knowledge. I must have been to the museum or whatever. I saw photos. But art is a natural language. It's timeless.
Interesting. And so do you have any favorite artwork of your own or favorite artists of all times?
My favorite artists change, like whoever they are. This is hard to answer. It changes. Vincent van Gogh will always like resurface as one of my favorite artists, not just because of his painting, which is amazing and beautiful. He poured himself into it. But not a lot of people are aware of the ink drawings that he did.
Mm-hmm.
They're fantastic. He developed a whole like language of drawing with ink that I don't think could be replicated or copied. It was his unique dialect, just amazing and beautiful. But that's like ask me tomorrow or another day. My favorite artist.
Or
changes.
Japanese artists?
Michiko Tatani was one of my professors at Art Institute. She's I think the greatest living artist in maybe the United States. If you look at her work, it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, great. I should do that.
Michiko Tatani.
Everything's online. They have their own virtual tours now.
Her work is also being shown at in Chicago in galleries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She still makes wonderful art.
Thank you, Mark, for this interesting conversation about art and your exploration at Oakton College.
Thank you, Diana, for having me here.
Welcome. Thank you for watching Real People Where It Matters. Please watch us again. This is Diana Tulchinsky with Mark Palmeri.